Alright, hello and welcome to another YOGU. So today we're going to be talking about the Cernos Prime. So the Cernos Prime got the main issue with it fixed. That being that it used to only have this mode of fire, which was a side-to-side spread, as you can very plainly see with the arrows in this wall here. This was hugely inefficient because it meant on single targets you were usually spreading out your damage and only hitting them with 1 or 2 arrows. But now, you can change to vertical, which means because most enemies are taller than they are wide, you can actually hit them with a grouping of arrows. That makes this weapon significantly better than it used to be, and in addition to that, it also has plus 50% bonus headshot damage, so that if at least one of these arrows is a headshot, you get sufficiently more damage. That is very good. Honestly, I would have preferred if this was just a single grouping shot and turned this into a normal bow, because that would have been even better, and then you probably wouldn't need the extra headshot damage. But the way that they did it is also fine. What that basically boils down to is that this weapon is pretty much the Rakta Cernos with less range because of the spread of your arrows, which still, of course, affects this weapon, and not a Syndicate proc. That being said, it has less range but slightly more damage, so there is some potential there. Uses a pretty basic build, utilizing Hunter munitions. Obviously, one of the advantages of this weapon is that you're going to get criticals on pretty much every single arrow you fire, unless you fire uncharged, which I would not advise. And like that makes it consistent for Hunter munitions, essentially. Those slash procs are going to be pretty solid for getting through some higher level armor. And this 4-forma build uses primed cryo rounds to give it a little extra oomph. It's pretty standard, like most critical weapons are going to use a build very similar to this, and I'm sure you're going to be seeing it a lot. So with that, let's just roll the test. I will say I don't like this weapon as much as I like the Rakta Cernos, because one of the things the Rakta Cernos does have over this weapon that I find to be particularly important is that the Rakta Cernos draw speed is much, much faster. So it can get a lot more arrows out a lot faster, which usually ends up helping it in the whole, like, you know, group killing thing. Of course, there is the punch through present, which is always good, because the more of that punch through that you can utilize, the more enemies you can kill per shot. And the horizontal will come in handy in some cases, especially when you're fighting enemies that simply aren't a high enough level to really matter. And in that case, these enemies would fall under that category. So, like, you're gonna kill these dudes. But, like, I don't know, just something about the way this weapon feels doesn't do it for me. But if you want a multi-shot bow, this bow shoots, like, almost as many arrows as Ivara's bow does, so if you want that kind of feel on non-Ivara Warframe, this is kind of the only way you're going to get it. It's okay. It does, like, enough damage. Like, it's got the damage there. It does the thing. It's just not, like, amazing. Like, the place where it really starts to show that it needs those headshots, and like most bows, you have to shoot them in the head. The Dread is a perfect example of that, of how effective it is whenever you shoot a weapon like that with that much raw damage and good slash procs into an enemy's head, and how good that is. But we'll just show against these guys how much Hunter munitions helps at getting through this kind of higher level armor. So the difference between getting a headshot, obviously not bad there, and I'll try and not hit these guys behind him, and getting a body shot is pretty dramatic. And obviously I am at, like, super close shotgun range, where all these arrows are always hitting. But if you get a headshot, you're going to do very, very well, especially because of the bonus multiplier. Problem comes whenever you're actually fighting at a range where you're probably likely to fight with a bow, and that's whenever you get things like this, where a lot of the arrows are going into the body. It's actually only about half as effective or so. That being said, this is still good. Like, obviously, if you're looking for something to take out enemies at this level, you could do better. But it's not like this is impossible to utilize. It's fine. That is a lot of arrows in that enemy's face. But you pretty much need Hunter munitions to get through that stuff in any kind of time. But yeah, it works. It's significantly better than it was, like, because it used to be, like, unusable because you only had this, and, like, just real quick to show how bad that is at this mid-range. At mid-range, if you're going for headshots, you're missing, like, fucking 3 arrows. Like 3 arrows just completely fucking whiff. And that shit is terrible for your output. And is only really effective on crowds of shitty enemies that don't matter anyway. But yeah, it's a lot better than it was. I was hoping it was going to be even better than this for obvious reasons, because the way it shoots is kind of a downside. But yeah, that's the Cernos Prime. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you tomorrow.